sounds familiar. Now, the Aztec wasn't in line with the image that Pontiac had been built on, and it wasn't enough to draw new buyers to the brand either. It kind of did the opposite. It turned people off to the brand. And in this sense, it's so relevant to what we're talking about today because that's exactly what's happening with Tesla. Now, I have one more example that I want to go over really quickly. Perhaps the single most relevant lesson from automotive history comes not from Ford or Pontiac or the DeLorean, but rather a fictional company from a cartoon. In season 2 of The Simpsons, there's an episode where Homer finds out that he has a half-brother who he sets out to find. Turns out said half-brother is a wealthy CEO of Powell Motors, an American automotive manufacturer trying to figure out what their next model will be. Powell commissions Homer to help him design a car for the American people against the wishes of all of his top executives. They're hoping Powell will just move forward with an economy model, but Homer has other ideas. Some of Homer's ideas aren't that bad, like a cup holder big enough to hold a big goal. That's a pretty good idea. Or soundproofing for the loud children in the back. But most of his ideas, not so much. Like his preference for 50s tail fins and bubble domes and shag carpeting. He oddly takes his preferences that were probably formed from cars and just design in his youth, and he forces them into what was supposed to be a futuristic, forward-thinking vehicle. Interesting. Needless to say, even with its flashy advertising, the $82,000 car in The Simpsons just doesn't work out, and Powell ends up losing everything. And the lesson is simple but timeless. Just because you as an individual want something in a car doesn't mean anybody else will. It's also not good to have an idiot who knows nothing about cars in charge of an automotive project. But there's a single thread through all of these stories, that of manufacturers trying to be something that they're not, making a product that doesn't fit with their brand. Sometimes this has worked out in history, but more often than not, sticking to your lane is best. Continuing to do the thing that made you great and popular in the first place is usually best. DeLorean was in his lane working for GM, helping them to create truly innovative vehicles like the GTO and Firebird. The Edsel was the epitome of a company trying to force innovation and luxury with little direction. The Aztec wasn't in line with what consumers knew Pontiac to be, and of course, Powell Motors of The Simpsons should have just made one of those economy cars his executives were pitching instead of Homer's abomination that kind of oddly looks like a Jeep Commando. This concept of making the right kind of vehicle at the right time for your company is so important and has been so important for manufacturers through automotive history. Now, this brings